Now, we all, from time to time, like to have a good moan. Who likes to have a good moan? Go on, hands up high. And you know that the rest of you are not putting your hands up? I'm not calling you a liar, but, we all like to have a good moan, particularly when the weather's like this. I'm indoors and, put the TV on and, it's just, we have dark moods. That's how it works. And let's be honest, the last 6 months or 7 months now of this coronavirus crisis, we've had good reason to moan. However we've been affected. We've been locked inside. We can get stuck inside our heads, can't we? But we may have been materially affected, which does affect our mood. And also, if your livelihood is threatened, the livelihood of your loved ones is threatened, then this is going to do all sorts of things to us emotionally, mentally, and psychologically. But we really, really do like to have a moan about our leaders, don't we? Need I say more? Boris Johnson. Who hasn't moaned about Boris Johnson? There you go. Okay, that's unanimous, right? Or, over the pond, Donald Trump, God bless him. It's part of the thing. We do, when things aren't going well, we go to the top, don't we? We go to the top and say, someone up there in charge must be responsible. I have a certain sympathy for our leaders at the moment, although I do moan, a lot about everything, but about our leaders. And because in this crisis, we're facing something which no one has faced before. COVID-19 is at the moment, there's no vaccine, there's no solution to it, and we've never faced this kind of scale of crisis before. And so you can at least give some leeway to our leaders to say, okay, well, they know as much as I do, which is absolutely nothing. Okay? So we're feeling our way around. But what about leaders who have all the answers or all of the gifts and then don't use them to our benefit? Or then don't lead wisely? Would we have good cause to moan and rebel against them? I would say yes. Yeah? This is who Jesus is talking to today. Jesus gives a good validation for criticism of leadership because he's doing it all the time. In fact, for the next 4 weeks, starting today, the gospel begins something like this. Jesus spoke to the Pharisees and leaders of the people, the elders, the scribes. You listen, start of the next 4 weeks' Gospels, that's what he's saying. Matthew seems to like it when Jesus goes into attack mode. And whereas I like to grumble, sort of like at a TV screen or to a friend, Jesus goes full frontal on the attack. In today's Gospel, he says, listen to another parable. There was a man, a landowner, who planted a vineyard. Now remember, he's talking to the Pharisees and scribes. Straight away, they'd have heard in their heads the first reading today, Isaiah's story of the vineyard. And they'd have known straight away, we know what's coming. He's having a go at us. He's criticizing us. So Jesus really is, he was like doing that to the Pharisees. He was saying, I'm criticizing you. And what was he criticizing them for? He was saying to them basically, God gave you everything. All of the knowledge, the 10 Commandments, the traditions, the prophets, the elders. And with that gift, Israel has fallen into corruption. We are now a dispersed people. My vision for them, which I placed in your hands, has gone awry. And he questions, and he invites us to question why. What is it about power when it's given to leaders that corrupts them? What is power in the good man or woman's hands? How is it exercised differently? How should it be exercised? Well, let's listen to the first words from the prophet Isaiah. The Lord gives to his people. He sets up Israel as a vineyard. He clears it of rocks. He makes the soil good. He plants it in fertile soil and then tends it, sends the rain and the sun, so that all of the conditions are laid so that a good crop should be produced. And Jesus saying, this is the garden, this is the Israel I gave into your hands. And instead, You've used the power I've given you, not for the people, but to exercise domination over them. The commandments which are meant to set free, you enslaved the people with. Law became a restriction and not a release from boundaries, not a growth into new places. You're not good gardeners, in other words. You don't tend with love, you tend with the desire to control. Power, too often, can corrupt. And that is why Jesus comes as he comes. The Son of God comes down from heaven and occupies, as we heard in St. Paul last week, the position of a slave. The one who is all-powerful and has all rights over us doesn't come to condemn the sinner. He comes to sympathize, to tend, to prune, to wait patiently, to make little touches here and there. He trusts in time and progress. In doing the right things, the fruit will produce good wine. That's what good leaders do. With all the power in their hands, they don't drop it down on people like a ton of bricks, but rather they dig below and make sure that people grow. No condemnation or criticism, but rather a tender and loving pruning, which sometimes is painful, but is always beneficial. So this is how Jesus goes at the Pharisees, and it is the criterion by which we are to judge our leaders in the church and also in our society. But it's also the criterion which we are called to judge ourselves. Each one of you has some kind of power. Some kind of power. And you might think, well, what power have I got? I haven't got anything. Well, if you've got a son or a daughter, you've got a husband or a wife, you've got friendship, anything which binds you to another person, that person is placed in some way in your hands. In some way they've handed over power to you. How do you use it? For example, classic example, I'm not meaning to single out parents here at all, but when the kids are just going nuts, right? And you've just had the worst day, and understandably, you just want to shout at them, right? That's an exercise of power. How do I control? By fear or with love? There's a choice right there. What tactic do I use? How do I employ the power that my child has given to me, has placed himself in my hands? With a friendship, do I try and control the emotions of my friend, or do I keep them free? Is my love interested for my own benefit, or is it disinterested? Is my love for their benefit? We'll see by how we treat our friends, and also how our friends respond to us. Are they happy when they see us, or when they're around us? We all have power, and we all have a choice. The choice that the Pharisees and the elders and the scribes took, or the choice that Jesus makes, to exercise our power over or in service. It's harder to exercise our power in service because of our corrupt human nature, and because we're vulnerable too. We want to hold on to things. We have insecurities. So sometimes when you feel insecure, like on a cold day, you want to wrap things around you, don't you? That's the moment that Jesus says, let go. Let my power surround you. My loving power surround you. Trust in me. Trust in my patience and my tender care for you. It might not happen overnight. You may feel exposed and vulnerable, but over time, the power of the Lord makes itself apparent in how we exercise our power and live our relationships with others. And so let's be like good gardeners, good tenants, good stewards. Let's be gentle with ourselves and gentle with others. Let's build the soil from below so that our relationships, our friendships, our responsibilities may flourish. Amen.